Hello, gorgeous ones. I will just give it a minute for people to find us and for me actually to pin the video in our group. So if anyone is having problems, you can have a look at the top of the group and hopefully find the video. But as you well know, I'm joined today by the gorgeous Sally, who's going to be telling us about all things EFT and how she combines this beautiful healing modality with her work as a coach. So, Sally, while I find the video and get it pinned up, can I hand over to you to introduce yourself and give people a bit of context around what it is you do? Obviously, more than what I've said.
Indeed, thanks, Holly. So I'm Sally. I go by the Authentic Life Coach at the moment. I've been a practicing coach for 22 years, which hard to believe.
Amazing how quick that goes, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And more recently, probably, I would say 5 or 6 years ago, discovered this incredible modality called EFT, or emotional freedom technique, and have now interwoven EFT, or people often know it as tapping, EFT tapping, into my coaching work. And interestingly, I'm finding that a lot of the work that I do with people is now more focused on EFT, perhaps certainly in the early stages of working with people, than the coaching, because EFT really underpins the coaching framework, coaching being much more perspective in terms of setting intentions, thinking about where we are now and where we want to be, and bridging that gap, if you like. What I realized some time ago was that coaching is about challenging people's clients' beliefs, limiting beliefs, core beliefs, and EFT is the perfect modality to do that, to literally tap into people's beliefs about themselves, where they come from, that patterning, that conditioning that we hold subconsciously, and really starting to unravel that and unpick it, and often reframe it so that we have this really powerful, positive foundation that we can then start the coaching work from. So pretty deep work sometimes.
I can imagine. But you bring up a really good point there, actually, because I think when I think back to, like, especially the early stages of my coaching journey, for me as an individual, sometimes it's really hard to even know where you can get to or what the vision is of what you want to be or what you want to change, because sometimes those beliefs are so ingrained and they're so normal, and it doesn't occur to you that there could be a different way of thinking, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the beliefs become our truth, that I just think that the majority of the population are going about their everyday business. They're on this hamster wheel, for want of a better term, of is this really what I want out of life? Is this enough? Is this what I signed up for? I work with women who come to me with that, exactly those questions, like, is this it? Is there more to life than just being on this hamster wheel of parenting, work, overwhelm, potential burnout? And that actually being their truth, that being their, this is it, and I just have to resign myself to that. But there absolutely is that different way in terms of, opening up the vision for people and how to create that. But as I've said, looking at the patterns that are going on for people, and I do work specifically with women, And so often, we tap into those patterns of people pleasing that start at such an early age, of the need to be perfect, but alongside that, never feeling good enough, never looking good enough, never this enough, that enough. That is so prolific in the work that I do, and holds people back in so many ways, in relationships, in careers, just in life generally. So yeah, the work that I do is very much about challenging what people believe to be their truth, and actually, unpicking that gently using EFT techniques and looking at, okay, where did this start? Where did this conditioning and patterning begin? And it's really quite revolutionary. Sounds it sounds quite dramatic, but it is. It's really eye-opening for people to go, my God, that was never my belief in the first place. That belief about not being good enough, about needing to be perfect, about needing to be the A-star student, whatever that belief is, about being let down by people, needing to hold it all up myself, not being able to speak my truth. That's when people actually go, that belief came from the teachers at school, my parents, whoever it might be, society. People. It's really eye-opening for people to recognize that, and then be able to reframe and change those beliefs with that recognition.
Yeah, I think many of us can relate to a lot of those examples that you've just given, because I know at times I've certainly felt all of those things. And perfectionism is such a sneaky one, right? Because we fool ourselves into believing that it's just us wanting to do well, or wanting to do a good job.
Yeah.
But it's often like the biggest self-sabotager we can have, because then we just don't do anything. We just I won't bother trying because I can't do it perfectly.
No, absolutely. And then we procrastinate, or we freeze. We go into this functional freeze state of just, like you say, doing nothing and not moving forward. And I term myself as a recovering perfectionist. I've done an awful lot of work on myself about where those patterns started. And, they're still apparent sometimes, but I have awareness now. And, that's the work that I do with people, bringing awareness to this patterning, as I say, what has become somebody's truth. When we bring awareness to that, and they're able to go, that's where it started. That was never my belief in the first place. I took on my dad's belief, my mum's belief, my teacher's belief, society's belief. That's where the power is, because, then we have the awareness in our everyday life as adults to be able to go, oh, there it is again. I'm not doing it because I expect it to be perfect. But, that allows us to then put that line in the sand, recognize it, and take the action, knowing that it doesn't have to be perfect, knowing, that we can believe that done is better than perfect, that, there's no such thing as failure, and all of those reframes.
So with that in mind, then, what is that, what's that potential transformation or impact that perhaps you've seen with clients, or people might expect to get through this? Like, what sort of impact can that have on people's lives, not just, internally, but externally, because, the internal creates the external, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, like I said, with this work comes clarity and awareness, and it's quite simple that by doing this inner work, by challenging the patterns and the conditioning, and kind of nurturing that little person within, which can be quite a big part of the work that I do with people, the inner child work, the reparenting, sometimes that that deep work. As I say, that brings awareness in the everyday to just how we're operating. So for example, one of my beliefs is that I need to do everything quite quickly. I need to rush through things and cram in as much as I possibly can, and need to be busy. Now that's a society's belief, if ever there was one. Yeah. Busy equals success.
And it's like a badge of honor.
Yeah. And people come to me with that belief, and it was a massive belief of mine. Busy equals success, to be able to say to friends, oh, I can't fit you in that day because I've got X, Y, and Z on. And I've done a lot of work around that. And actually now, rest equals success. Having that time in the diary when there's nothing in and there's no busyness, that's success for me. And that kind of coming back to myself and that inner peace. So in terms of the shifts that people can expect, I think, that's the perfect example. It's looking at, what do you currently believe you need to be? What do you currently believe about the way you need to operate? What's your truth about how your life needs to be at the moment? Let's unpick that and look at where it comes from, and let's change it and reframe it so that going forwards in your day-to-day life, be it at work, whatever you're doing, you're able to come back to yourself and go with a kind of, a gentleness and from a place of self-compassion. Oh, there it is again. But the need to be busy, the need to rush from A to B, because that has always equated to being successful. I think, it's not always easy. These beliefs are so embedded, as we know, and they're part of our subconscious and have been for such a long time, that it's not always easy work. It's like, I say to people, it's like building that muscle. If we want a bigger bicep, we go to the gym, we go regularly, we go consistently. And I think the same is true of this work, that we have to have that constant awareness. We work with a practitioner, we have our sessions, but there's such value in taking this work into our everyday life. And, I do that. I'm not only am I a practitioner, but I work on myself most days. To say every day is not authentic, but most days I journal in the morning. Do forgive my croaky voice. I journal, I tap, I meditate, not every day, but I do. And I'm just able to reframe what's going on for me in the morning. And that's what I encourage my clients to do. When they come to me for sessions, we work through issues within the session, but then they go away and they're given like a tapping sequence, which is specific to what they're working on at the time, so that they can choose daily or twice weekly or whenever they've got the time to sit, to tap, to journal, and to start creating these new ways of being.
And it's, as you were saying that, like something came up for me where there's something I've been working through personally this year. I'll share it with you guys. It's a belief, a long held belief that's been like I've been always had as long, well, not always had, but from childhood. And it's been coming up a lot for me recently, because it was a belief that I had around I should be productive, like pretty much all the time. It's like this
busyness again.
Yeah, so it makes me laugh because I won't do busyness if it's not productive. So it has to be productive. But and it's something that I've been working on for years. But this year it has raised its head again, because my rheumatoid arthritis flared up over the past 6 months.
Yeah.
And I had to take a really long, hard look at myself, all the uncomfortableness of that.
Yeah.
As professionals, we should know better. All of that kind of story coming
all the beliefs.
All the beliefs. And I thought, this is what it is. It's that belief again about being productive. And so I was finding that when I was resting, it was coming up for me as frustration. And it was because I was fighting against this belief of I should be productive pretty much all the time. But it's interesting. One of the other things that I noticed through that is not only did that affect how I was feeling in that moment, that simple belief, not only was it bringing up frustration for me, but that frustration, right, has a ripple effect, you know, a bit snappier with the husband,
Absolutely.
less patience with the kids. I also noticed, like, over the years, I had to let go of some of that in my business, because if I was telling myself I had to be productive all the time,
Yeah.
I wasn't giving myself the space to review, to consider, to just dream, you know, to envision
Be creative.
what was the next, like, yeah, that kind of feminine energy was getting lost. So it's amazing when you say, because I think sometimes when people think belief, they think it just has this one knock-on effect. But I know from my experience in my own life, one belief can impact like 20 different areas of your life, right?
Yeah.
As well as the way that you feel about yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's the beauty of this work, that, you know, it does have that ripple effect when we start to go back and to examine, okay, where did this come from? You know, we start to EFT allows us to go back to memories, to events. When we can actually remember them, we can't always, and sometimes we work on a feeling or a sense of what might have happened, and we tap on that. But it allows us to collapse the emotion around events or beliefs. So when you talk about the frustration, you know, we'd be able to do some, and I'm happy to go through the sequence and the points. It allows us to work not only on the belief, but the emotions associated with them as well. It's kind of a double whammy. And a lot of my work recently has been around anxiety. I think, you know, it's huge. It's a kind of an epidemic of stress and anxiety. And, you know, I was one of those people. And actually that led me to not only coaching in the first instance, but also to EFT, because EFT is regulatory. You know, there's lots of clinical work going on at the moment. There's lots of clinical studies to show that EFT actually works to regulate the nervous system. The very act of tapping on these acupressure points sends a signal really quickly to that stress part of the brain, to the amygdala, to say it's okay to be calm, it's okay to let go of fight and flight. And I know now, because I've been tapping for such a long time, that I'll be sitting in the car and, you know, thinking, oh, I need to be at school in 5 minutes and the traffic's really bad, and I can just tap on. I have a favorite tapping point now. People tend to find that they have a favorite point, and so I can sit in the car and I can just tap here. I don't know whether you can see it.
Yeah.
And almost immediately I feel my body just lighten, like it's okay, I'm safe, I can let go, everything's going to be all right. And it's almost automatic for me now, because, you know, I've started to create those new pathways, I guess. So yeah, as I say, there's an awful lot of work going on at the moment. There's a lady who's a professor of psychology, and she works at Bond University in Australia, and she's doing lots and lots of really interesting work on sort of the clinical studies around EFT, because, you know, for such a long time it's been energy work. Like, well, that seems a bit out there, you know. And I was the same. Yeah, absolutely. I came to it and I was like, tapping on parts of the body. How the hell can that have any impact? But I'm very, very aware now that it is hugely powerful. And as I say, it's great that there's this scientific work going on to ascertain just just how it works, the scientific underpinning to show that this isn't just a woo-woo thing. It actually works to calm the body, to calm the mind, because stress, right, is so biological.
Hmm.
At the first sign of stress, where do we feel it? It's not just in here.
Oh God, no.
There's always a
Chest,
somatic
belly.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. There's always a immediate somatic response, and again, that's the beauty of EFT, because that's what we work on. We work on, well, where are you feeling that in the body? Tell me about where you're feeling it. The energy of that emotion is what we work on, and we tap on to release and to heal.
Sounds amazing. So if there's people out there thinking, oh, this sounds interesting, I wonder if it would help me, what sort of things might it help people with?
I find this really difficult from a business point of view, and this is why I work with you, Holly, because, and it sounds really kind of cliche to say, do you know what, it can help with almost anything, but there are practitioners who work with phobias, addiction, PTSD, use EFT for all of these things, for chronic pain, autoimmune conditions. The premise being that when we, as we're growing up, from birth to present day, and some people even believe before birth, we are experiencing anxiety and trauma, and it doesn't have to be big trauma, and this becomes blocked in the body. So EFT is obviously an energy modality. And yeah, as I say, the premise is that when we experience these events, we then experience blockages within the energy pathways and the energy systems of the body. And if these are left unhealed, that can lead to disease or dis-ease within the body.
Yeah, so similar sort of thought pattern is Reiki or Ayurveda, or
yeah,
a lot of those holistic modalities understand this, right? That
yeah,
the mind and body aren't separate entities.
no.
Emotions actually do have an impact if not processed. Yeah,
Absolutely. And the more reading, the more research I do, the more work that I do with clients, the more I'm absolutely convinced that if it's left, then yeah, that this is stored at a cellular level in the body, in the tissues and the cells, and that is a major contributor to disease, to illness, to pain. And don't get me wrong, I understand that disease is complex. There are many factors that make people poorly, but I've learned so much about how the emotions impact the body, and I think it's sad in a way that Western medicine just doesn't catch up. That if you go to the GP, they haven't got the time to sit down and go, okay, so tell me about, let's do a timeline, of your life, and where are the emotional events, what happened when you started to feel unwell, what happened when you were diagnosed, what was going on for you emotionally. They just haven't got the time. Whereas
they don't. Sorry, lovely, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say, whereas actually, if there was the time, and I do that with clients, at the beginning of working with somebody, we'll sit down and or ask them in advance to do a kind of timeline of significant events through their life and the emotions around what was going on for them. And there's definite correlation between pain, disease, onset of illness, and what was happening for people emotionally.
Completely. Yeah, I mean, you're preaching to the converted here. And there's many people in the group that I'm sure completely agree wholeheartedly. And it is a shame that we don't have a health system that has the time or the capacity I believe the research is catching up, right? More and more research is
Absolutely.
coming out
Yeah.
every year about energy medicine, about,
Yeah.
things like acupressure points, as well as like things like meditation and the impact of those sort of modalities where we are considering the whole.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
in the meantime, we fill the gap, of what needs to be done out there.
Yeah.
So I wonder if there's like a little sequence that you could take us through just to show us what that might feel like to experience EFT for those of us that haven't tried tapping. What is that something you could do?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think I kind of think of it as twofold in a way. So I like to think of there's kind of high level is probably the wrong phrase, but I'll use it. High levels kind of tapping. So something that you can do quite quickly and quite easily to calm yourself, and like I was describing earlier, to send that message to that stress response part of the brain to go, it's okay, it's okay to bring in some calm here. There's that kind of level, and I'm more than happy to go through a sequence with you. And then there's that what I've termed the kind of the underpinning level, that deeper work where we tap into events and memories where that patterning and that conditioning perhaps began, and we do a lot of kind of potentially inner child work, reparenting work, which is that much kind of deeper work using EFT.
So one's a sticky plaster, the other one's getting to the root of the issue and sorting it out.
Yeah, that's a nice way of putting it. Yeah. But yeah, so I don't know, you can see me, can't you?
I wonder if I can. I'll tell you what, I'll take the banner down for a minute. How do I do that? There we go. You can see her a bit better now.
Okay. So yeah, some people are a bit put off sometimes, because when we start with a tapping sequence, we actually almost acknowledge the negative, the what's going on for us, the difficult emotion that we're feeling. And sometimes people are a bit kind of, don't necessarily like that, but it's about absolutely acknowledging what is going on for us at the time, that truth, that honesty about how we're feeling, and that whole myriad of emotion. It can be shame, it can be frustration, it can be sadness, it can be envy, that whole gamut of things that we're feeling. We just have to be honest about, because that's where the power is. But something quite simple would be, let's say you're feeling anxious, get up in the morning and you've got something going on in the day, and like, I'm not sure if I can cope with it. Am I good enough? I've got some anxiety around that. So we would simply we always start tapping on the side of the hand. This is where we always start with what we call a setup statement. And it would go something like, I don't know, do you want to repeat it after me?
Yeah, I'm going to do it. Go for it.
Okay. So nice deep breath before we start. And then we're just going to go in with, even though I have this anxiety at the moment,
I have this anxiety at the moment,
I accept myself.
I accept myself
in the here and now.
In the here and now.
And I know that I'm safe.
And I know that I'm safe.
Even though I have this anxiety.
I have this anxiety.
And I feel it in and then you probably don't feel it at the moment, but let's pretend.
Chest.
And I feel this anxiety in my chest.
And I feel this anxiety in my chest.
I accept myself.
I accept myself.
And I accept that this emotion is valid.
And I accept that this emotion is valid.
And that I'm safe in the here and now.
And that I'm safe in the here and now.
Even though. You okay?
Even though I can feel it.
Yeah. Even though
I feel
this anxiety in my chest.
I feel this anxiety in my chest.
And I should just say, and I should have said this at the beginning, but if there are people watching this, tap along, because there's something called borrowed benefits with tapping. You don't even have to say the words that I'm saying, just tap the points as I tap and you tap. Setup statement we say 3 times. So even though I'm still aware of this anxiety,
I am still aware of this anxiety,
and it's in my chest,
and it's in my chest.
I accept myself,
I accept myself,
and I accept that it comes from somewhere,
and I accept that it comes from somewhere.
and I'm open to changing it, and I'm safe in the here and now.
And I'm safe in the here and now.
And then we can start on the point. So we tap on the top of the head. This anxiety that I feel in my chest. And then here, so on the sort of the inner eye, on the bone point, the anxiety that I feel in my chest.
The anxiety that I feel in my chest.
This anxiety.
This
Familiar feeling. And tapping on the outer eye, the end of the eyebrow. I still feel it in my chest. Anxiety in my chest. It comes from somewhere. And I'm curious. About changing it. About letting it go just a little bit. Tapping under the eye. The anxiety that I feel. In my chest. I wonder what it's all about. This anxiety. Is valid. Under the nose. The anxiety in my chest. I'm really aware of it. And it comes from somewhere. Tapping under the chin. But I'm open. To just letting it go a little bit. I can still feel it in my chest. The anxiety. This familiar feeling. Tapping on the just under the collarbone. Yeah. Anxiety in my chest. Feel it in my body. But it's okay. It's safe to let go just a little bit. You okay?
Yeah. Do you know, I'm struggling to keep the rhythm.
You mean the tapping?
Yeah.
It becomes easier the more we do it. It just becomes like second nature. I'm open to just letting go a little bit. And welcoming in some calm. By tapping. I'm sending the message to my brain. Everything's okay. That I'm safe. That I can just let go a little bit. And then we tap under here, so kind of on the bra strap point.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah. We don't necessarily always use this. Some people are quite averse to some points, and you know, I'm guided by that. But this is one of the meridian points. Anxiety in my chest. It's still there. Oh, and that's okay. It's valid. And it comes from somewhere. And then tapping on the wrist point here. Feel it in my chest. It's still there in my chest. But I'm open just to letting go a little bit. And being safe. And then we tap on the fingers. So can you see?
Oh, I can't see that one.
Yeah. Anxiety.
That
I feel in my body.
that I feel in my body.
And on the first finger, is that in my chest.
In my chest.
I feel it in my body.
I feel it in my body.
But it's okay to let go just a little bit.
But it's okay just to let go a little bit.
Just to let go a little bit and be safe.
Just to let go a little bit and be safe.
I'm okay in the here and now.
I'm okay in the here and now.
Safe to welcome in some calm, little finger.
Safe to welcome in some calm.
I'm safe.
I'm safe.
And I'm letting go just a little bit.
And I'm letting go just a little bit.
And then hands in the lap and nice deep breath. Little shake of the hands if that feels right.
Wow, I feel lovely.
Get that energy moving. So yeah, that obviously felt a little bit clunky because you're getting used to the points. But they're
lovely.
The points. Yeah.
I can feel that running through my body like I've just had a Reiki session. Like it's the vibration.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That feels beautiful.
Yeah.
And the other thing I observed is because of the rhythm, you almost go into like a shamanic trance state. Do you know what I mean? Like the drumming of it.
Yeah.
And the other thing I noticed, sorry, I'm going to tell you it all now.
Yeah, I love it.
That one.
Yeah.
That reminded me of patting my babies on the back, you know, when it just, it felt really nurturing. Yeah. So those of you watching, I'll tell you what, I'm going to check in with comments. So bear with me. Sorry, guys, I've not been very good at seeing your comments because, oh, wait a minute. There we go. Oh. Hi, Louise, gorgeous. Welcome. Sarah, lovely, gorgeous to have you here. Sarah, you love EFT and you use it a lot. Fabulous. I would love to know if you guys were tapping along with us, what your experience from that. Whether, because I feel really lovely, really lovely. So thank you so much for sharing that.
Well, it becomes more soothing once you know the points, and it can feel quite clunky and quite odd, and I'm quite transparent about that with clients when we first start working, that it's quite weird, and I think we're just not used to kind of, doing anything like that. It's like just weird.
I don't know if the only part I struggled with was when I had to use both hands.
Yeah.
And it's like the rhythm went off and I was like, oh, like I couldn't keep them going at the same time.
And some people tap with both hands on all of the points, on the top of the head. And there's nothing to say that one way is right and another way isn't. It's what feels right for you. And I know some practitioners actually tap on the client. They actually the client will be in a salon type chair and they kind of lay there and the practitioner taps on them. But I like people to learn this. I like clients to be able to take this away, to get better at using it, because it's a self-help tool. It's easy, it's free, it's proven to help us with anxiety. And there's also a point here which is called the 9 gamut point, which is kind of that little bit between, I don't know, can you see where I'm? Yeah. And that one, I've often used this one when I've been kind of out in public. Like I was on a train not so long ago that was packed and heaving, and I felt quite claustrophobic. And I do this out in public. Actually, I'm not ashamed to tap anywhere now. But this one's I say to people, this is so discreet. Nobody would ever know that you were massaging that and kind of telling yourself it's okay to be calm. I'm safe. I can trust myself, and kind of saying those statements to yourself whilst using one of the meridian points. We don't use this in the tapping sequence, but it is a known meridian point, acupressure point.
They are amazing. Like I remember I was using a lot of the acupressure points when I was pregnant to deal with things like nausea. So like if I was in a, because often, you know, we carry on working and do these things, right? And I can remember being sat in a boardroom once and thinking, oh my God, I'm going to be sick. And I was like, quick. And I think that was that one there. So I was just sat there, like calming myself. Lifesaver.
Yeah. Absolutely. And, yeah. So they're the points, and as I say, that's kind of that high level tapping, you know, that kind of quick sequence to start to bring in more calm, to let go a little bit of anxiety. But we use exactly the same points when we do the deeper work, when we are working on events or traumatic events that people have experienced, memories. You know, we use exactly the same set of points, but obviously with different words. And I guess that's the beauty of working with a practitioner, that, you know, it can be so tailored to your experience, because, you know, we all have different conditioning, patterning.
And it felt really nice being led through that. I'll be honest. Like if I was leading myself through it, I'm not sure I would have found that as powerful.
No, and I do find that, you know, when I work with clients, they'll say, oh, it was great while I was in the session, because, you know, I'm directing it, I'm leading it, they're tapping as I tap, they're saying what I say, they're repeating it exactly in the same way you did. And then they'll go away and they'll message me and they'll say, I've forgotten it, I've forgotten the points, I've forgotten what to say. And that's why, you know, I'll do a video for people so that that's totally tailored to what they've come to me about, to the issue. So that they've got this kind of directed video script.
And it's all personalized, and that's what you're looking for, right?
Yeah, and you know, there are apps out there. There's the tapping solution app that people might be aware of, and, you know, I used for a long time, and it's great. It has value in terms of a sequence to heal anxiety on a daily basis, or frustration or shame, or, you know, again, any of those emotions that we feel at any given time. But it doesn't tap into the deep,
doesn't get to the root of it.
No, because, you know, anxiety comes from somewhere, shame comes from somewhere, and again, you know, often it's about beliefs, it's about events that have happened, it's about memories, and tapping into those, and doing that deep work.
Yeah, no, I get it. It's a bit like I say about meditation. Yeah, of course you can use meditation to relax, and if you need something in the moment, but that's not really what it's there for. It's there so you're using it so actually you don't get stressed. You don't then need it in the moment, because you've dealt with the root of the issue, as opposed to just trying to find a solution to the problem. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's a bit like Western medicine, right? Which is very symptom focused, instead of the root of the problem.
Yeah.
What caused it? Sort that out. Because otherwise,
where does it come from? Yeah.
Because otherwise more issues arise, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, you know, the power of it is in just being able to operate in a different way. I worked with a lady recently, and she came to me because she said, I wake up in the morning and I immediately have this sensation in my body of like darkness and sadness. And she said, I lay in bed and I question how I'm going to get through the day. She was on antidepressants, and, you know, every day was an absolute struggle. And so I did a series of 6 sessions with her, and we did quite a lot of inner child work about going back to that place of being really young, where she felt that she she just couldn't cope. You know, she would go to school in the morning and have exactly this feeling of dread, of horror, of what the day's going to bring, and am I going to cope with it? You know, as a 4, 5, 6-year-old. And if we don't recognize that and heal it, you know, that little person is still a massive part of who I am, who you are, who she is. You know, that inner child is still so prevalent in the adult us, and carries all that conditioning and that patterning and those beliefs about I can't cope, I can't trust myself. And we put this mask on, don't we? You know, like, in order to operate in the world. And that's what is at the root of so much anxiety, that, you know, we're almost acting out a part because we've got all this going on inside, this distress, and we kind of think that this is our normal, and we just have to carry on.
Yeah. And like you say, a lot of that is because we have these expectations of self that never came from us, or expectations of how things should be or how things are.
Yeah.
But it is amazing that once you start moving through those, how quickly the opportunities open up in your life, right? Like,
Yeah.
I know in my own journey, when I was doing this healing work, life felt so limited. Do you know what I mean? Like, literally, I thought I was so limited. I had to do this certain thing. I had to show up in this way. I had to live in this way.
Yeah. That's your truth. That's the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like things like it would never have occurred to me before I'd done like the inner work that I could start a business. Do you know what I mean? Like that. I know that sounds ridiculous, but I don't think it wasn't even an option in my head, because I think I was so busy being in that survival mode of what I should be doing.
Yeah.
But the minute like you start releasing some of that and you think, oh my God, I have options. I have options. I don't have to live that way or like that, or, be who someone else wants me to be.
Yeah. And I think that's what really lights me up about the work that I do, because EFT helps us to do that deep work and examining what we think is our truth, and questioning that and going, no, I don't have to subscribe to that way of being anymore. That was never mine.
Yeah.
That was handed to me by parents, by society, by teachers at school. We do that healing work, and then, like you're saying, the world opens up, and women go, wow, this is like, I do have opportunities. And that's where the coaching comes in, because suddenly it's like, I don't have to stay in this job on this hamster wheel. I don't have to stay in this relationship. And, I can, and then we do like empowering work. We start to really tap into the reframes, rather than feeling I can't trust myself. Am I going to cope with today? We go to the extreme of, I'm an empowered woman and I can choose at every given moment of any given day. I get to choose because I have awareness now. And that's really powerful. That's transformational.
And that feels like the most powerful note to end on. Like the amazing kind of transformation you can provide. Louise said she's got a lot out of that, and she carries a lot of physical anxiety in her body. So that obviously, I'm pleased, Lou, really pleased.
Me too.
If any of you are watching on replay, feel free to tap along and put any comments, questions. I can pass any questions on to Sally if you have them. What I would say is you've got a couple of spaces available at the moment, haven't you? So if someone wants to, work with you, how can they go about that? What's the best way for them to get in touch?
So I've got my Facebook page, which is The Authentic Life Coach. Oh, absolute transparency here. It needs revamping because it is quite coaching focused at the moment, as Holly knows. And I do need to bring, some more updated bits to that. But in terms of finding me, yeah, I'm on Facebook, The Authentic Life Coach. There's a WhatsApp button on there that you can obviously message me through. I, as many of us practitioners do, offer that kind of discovery call with people who are interested in this work with absolutely no obligation. I, more than happy to just have a chat about EFT, how it might help you. And, integrity is at the heart of what I do, and it always has been. I don't charge the absolute earth for sessions because I know the power of this and I want it to be available to people. So there's never any obligation if you want to chat about this work to then go on and book sessions. Absolutely none at all. But yeah, reach me either on Facebook, or I think my telephone number's on there as well, actually. So just feel free to drop me a message. And I do work online. My recent work has been in person. I live in Lincolnshire and I have an office space that I use. So I've been doing quite a lot of in-person work, which is lovely. But I also work online, and there's no kind of difference whether we use EFT online or in person. The outcomes are generally quite similar.
Perfect. And if any of you get stuck, can't find Sally's page or anything like that, or say, help, can you put me in touch with her? Please, just send me a message or put something in the comments and I'll pass it on and Sally can reach out to you.
Thanks, Holly.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you for coming on and sharing that with us. God, can you believe we've been chatting for like 52 minutes? I don't know where that went. That like flew by, or is it just me?
No, I just love once I get started on EFT, that's it.
Oh no, thank you so much for sharing that. Really appreciate it. I'm sure those in the group will appreciate it too. If you've watched on replay, you've enjoyed it, let us know. What I would say is, in terms of, so if you're interested in EFT, get in touch with Sally. I also have one space available for business mentorship at the moment. Sally is one of my beautiful clients. So if that's something you're interested in, get in touch. Only one space. They do tend to go quite quickly. So you can either message me to book in for a chat and we'll just have a quick chat, or send me a message on Facebook and we'll sort it out. But okay, lovelies, I will be in here soon, no doubt. Nothing planned as yet, but I'll let you know when we do. And thank you so much, Sally. Really appreciate you coming on.
Loved it. Thanks for the opportunity, Holly.
You're so welcome. See you all soon. Bye.
Bye.